All right, so this is going to be my very first session with my new wild Mustang here. He's a little 6-year-old Mustang Gelding. So we're gonna kind of go through and show you like the process we like to do during these very first sessions. It's my first time working with him. So you can kind of see he's kind of just moving around. I'm just standing here kind of by the gate. He's kind of figuring this whole thing out. And so my goal for today's session is to just start working on that line of communication with him. So starting to kind of get him thinking about joining up with me, connecting with me, and we're just kind of see how he's doing and see what we can accomplish today. So I really like that he's like looking at me right now. He's paying attention. He's not red zoning. Sometimes they'll just be like trotting around the pen the first time you step in with them, bashing into panels and such. But he's just keeping his attention on me, really trying to figure out this whole thing. So what I'm going to start out with is I'm just going to start moving around. I'm kind of going this way. And then the minute that he looked at me, I stopped moving. So we're going to start playing a game called pressure and release. So I'm going to apply some sort of pressure. So for him, that could simply be me clicking, raising my energy, moving around. And then the minute he gives me the desired response, which for right now is going to be looking at me, I'm going to take away the pressure. So that might just be like bringing my energy down lower, backing up, staying nice and calm, letting him know that he gave me the right answer. So I'm just going to apply some pressure. So right now it's walking. I'm going to click. He's going to walk. I'm going to keep the pressure on. And then right there, he kind of turned in a little bit. So I'm going to say, hey buddy, that was a good job. He's keeping his eyes on me. I got a good lick and chew. So lick and chew is kind of a way the horse tells us that they understand. It gives them it releases this thing called dopamine, which the best way I've heard it explained is it's like a calorie-free cookie. So they're like, oh, okay, she moved away. They get good, happy thoughts. And so I'm looking for those lick and chews. That means that my horse is really thinking, using his brain. So I'm applying some pressure with my voice here. I'm walking towards him. He's going to move off. I keep the pressure. Now he wants to turn back. So I'm just going to keep him moving this way. He really wants to get to his friends over here. So I'm just keeping my energy really low. I'm going to keep walking, let him sort this thing out. Good. See, he doesn't quite know what to do with the pressure yet, so he's going to trot around. Good. I'm going to keep him coming this direction. Yep, he wants to go to his friends. I'm going to tell him which direction I want his feet. So I don't want him to change unless I ask him to. So we're just looking for him to go around left. And we're just looking right. Excuse me. And we just want him to kind of start chilling. Keep him moving. He's still looking to change directions. Wants to hang out with his friends. Then here, I'm going to back up. And he kind of turned in there. Now he's back looking at me. This side of the round pen is sort of his safe area. His buddies are over here. He really wants to hang out over here. That side of the arena is really scary. So right here, he's not really paying attention to me. He more just wants to hang out with his friends. So we're just going to keep him moving. Keep him coming this direction. He doesn't get to stop by his friends. Over here on this hard side, I'm going to back up. Use my voice a little bit. Now I'm going to help him over. I want to keep him on this side of the arena. Good. Good. So I'm using his friends as a draw. The only way he can get to his friends is if he looks at me. There. What I'm looking for is just for him to turn his face. Good. You see, he really wants to come over to this side. And I'm like, no. I want you to stay on this side of the arena. So I'm going to keep coming back and forth. He's not there. That's what I was looking for. I just want him to be nice and chill. So look, you can see he's still creeping, but he kind of works through that. So now he's actually using his brain and not just reacting to me being in here with him. He's really sort of herd bound to his friends here. Really wants to be over here on this side of the arena, but not necessarily with me. Good. Now we're just gonna start moving him around again. Good. Good. Really nice. So again, I'm going to take the energy off, back up, there. Beautiful turn in. This horse is so smart. You can see all those licking shoes he's given me. He's like, okay, trying to figure this out. I like this time he's walking around. He's not just frantically bolting back over here. So I'm going to use a little click. He really wants to look at the people that are watching. He's very brave. Good. So this is what I was looking for. Take the energy back. I'm standing all the way back here and we're just going to let him sit there for a moment. I want this horse to relax, to understand that as long as he's keeping his eyes on me, he can have a little break. So now he's kind of lost. Oh, good. This way, super athletic little horse. He'll be able to do cows or something. Good. So keeping him this way, backing up, turning face. That I was looking for. Yeah. He's like, why are they moving? This time I can bring the energy back up. Look for him to turn and face me. There it is. Really good. And he's not like there. Good boy. Good. Really nice. So right here, there's to stay nice and calm. That was a really good boy. Let him just face here for a second. Good boy. Well done. Really good. And we're just gonna let him chill. So I want his safe space to be whenever he's looking at me. A lot of times, some of these horses will get where they will just like kind of get stuck in a corner and they'll start angling their hips towards you. And so right from the very beginning, the most important thing for me is teaching the horses to turn and face, because I want them to be looking at me, engaged with me, and not like freaking out or being stuck in a corner or thinking naughty thoughts. As long as they're looking at me, I'm in a pretty safe space. Really good boy. I really like that this horse, all the licking and chewing. Really processing things. Meanwhile, over here, I've got this guy behind me, completely wild, hasn't been worked with yet. And he's like, hey, Sierra.
Ever.
Like, he's never been worked ever his whole entire life. He's completely wild, but he's super friendly. So you can see the different personalities. We've got this one that's a bit hot, and then this one who's like going to be my best friend without even trying. So each Mustang is so different.
Don't you do it.
I know.
Your first is going to be so mad.
So this one's getting first touches already, apparently, through the panels. We call this self-training, when they have this all this natural curiosity. This little boy. Meanwhile, this one's about to have a little minor panic attack. I'm so sorry. So what we're going to start doing here is I'm just going to start making his bubble smaller. So right now, his bubble is from me standing here all the way across the armpits. What's that, like 20 feet? 20 feet. That's as close as I can get to him at this point. And so my goal is to start slowly bringing his bubble smaller in like little gradual increments. So what I'm going to do is what we call approach and retreat, which is where I'm going to get closer to him until he's just about to take a step away. And before he moves, I'm going to take the pressure away. So I just want him to kind of stand here, keep his eyes pointed on me. And I'm going to slowly creep in. So right now it's one step, lean forwards, reach my hand out, and then bring it back. And we're just going to start this super slow. Why I'm reaching my hand forwards is because I want him to get used to my hand moving early on in his training before I get close enough to ever touch him. Because when I get up there within a couple feet of him, I want to be able to, he's already used to my hand reaching out, so then the only thing new is me actually making contact with him and not my scary hand actually moving. So right here, I'm taking some steps forward, bringing my hand out. I might even move it up and down in a petting motion. There. So you can kind of see he looked away there for a moment, but he came back, brought those eyes to me, and so I took the pressure back. Anytime that he like refocuses on me, I'm going to give him a little break. So just taking that energy back. Good. So right here, you can see he thought about moving, but he was like, oh, she likes it when I just stay here and look at her. So really smart horse. Good. Just start bringing it slowly back. Good boy. I can use my voice to tell him that he's doing the right thing. And what I like to use is just a really calm, sort of low voice. So it's going to be like, good boy. You don't want to get really high octave or make it be like, good boy or something, because that sounds kind of like a screeching animal. So I'm just going to be really calm. I'm keeping my heart rate really slow. Good boy. And we're going to slowly start coming up here. If at any point he decides to take a step forward, I'm going to back up. You can see there, he wanted to leave, and so I took the pressure back a little bit before he had a chance to exit. And so just really keeping this nice and slow. I really like this horse. Very smart. Good boy. You kind of took a step back there. That's all right. Just gonna keep coming. So right here, he wants to move. There. So I held the pressure until he looked at me, and then I immediately released that pressure by backing up. This horse could have totally took off running, but he was like, hey, I know when I turn and face Sierra, she gives me a break and takes the pressure off. So you're just making this a game. Whenever he's looking at me, I'm going to take the pressure away. And this really, for me, minimizes the having to running around. If you can take that pressure off before, like right here, he's about to move, I'm just like, yes. And he came back. Really good. So anytime that he thinks about leaving, but then decides to stay, big reward. Because we really want to encourage him staying calm, keeping his focus on me. Good. Good. Again, refocus. And just that simple clicking was like, hey buddy, pay attention here. It kind of was just enough pressure to remind him to keep looking at me. Good. So applying that pressure. There. Give it a lick and chew. He's like, okay, figuring out the game. Really good boy. That Mustang's trying to break out. Okay, so he's gonna move. Now I'm gonna change his directions back. He really wants to go to the left and really wants to hang out by his buddies. So I'm gonna see if I can get that turn in again. Good. So again, he's focusing isn't really on me, so I'm gonna start moving around. And then he went back to his spot there, turning and facing. You know, I kind of like to choose a spot in my round pen. I want it to be somewhere away from their friends, out in the middle. I don't want them like stuck in a corner, but I want them looking at me. And it's really, it kind of is like target training. I'm targeting him to that side of the arena. Knowing, okay, when you're over there, you're going to stop, turn, and look at me, and then we can start working on getting closer for those first touches. A lot of the times what I see happening is, especially with new Mustang trainers, is they'll let the horses settle by their buddies over here, and the horse will kind of be like up against the rail, stuck in a corner, and they're sneaking up to it for those first touches, and the horse is kind of hiding, its hips are out, and it puts the trainers in a really sort of dangerous predicament, and you can get away with it with some really nice, really chill, friendly Mustangs that don't have a mean bone in their bodies. But when you start working with these older geldings, some of the more reactive mares, or just a little bit spicy babies, it can get you in a predicament that could be a little bit dangerous. So that's why I like having them turned into the middle. It would be very hard for this horse to kick me. He's also not able to hide. He has to fully like accept me in his space and can't like shut it out. So, and it keeps them really just focusing on you. So again, we're going back to that approach and retreat. I'm approaching here. I use my voice. I'm going to kind of walk with them. Good. He turned in. I back up. Now that he sort of understands the concept, we're going to start moving a little bit faster. So I'm using my voice. There. Turn and look. So I'm keeping the pressure on until he turns those eyeballs towards me. Good. And we're going to just slowly start bringing his bubble smaller and smaller. So now we're more at like 10 feet. And I might walk this way. I want him to move those hips a little bit. I'm going to push him back this way. Put him back this way. Good. So we're back into this corner. He's like, oh my goodness, we're close to people. Good. And then we're going to continue work on this exercise. Good. I'm I'm gonna start walking this way. I would like him to turn his head to look at me a little bit. That one's a little bit new. Just moving back and forth with him. Good. Good boy. Well done. Come back up. I'm gonna keep with him. I'm not gonna release. There. I only release the pressure when he's looking at me. Good boy. And then we're gonna come back. Because the thing is, now that he knows to look at me, I want him to start thinking about maybe taking some steps towards me, keeping his eyes on me even if I'm walking. So we're slowly increasing the difficulty of this exercise. Good. Now that he understands the first piece of the puzzle. Good. Again, I'm walking this way. I'm only walking to the left, or is that right? His right, until he starts understanding it. So I'm not going to swap sides on him until when I'm over here, he can keep his eyes on me without reacting. Right there. So that time he looked at me a little bit. I'm going to take the pressure off. Good. I'm going to keep it back to this side. Keeping him on this side of the arena. Good. So try and tie up that panel there. Good. Walking towards his right. There. So I'm walking this way. I want him to keep his eyes on me. Good. Now I'm going to come back to more of the neutral position. So that time he was actually able to follow me this way without freaking out. So this time, there. There. Come back. Good. Well done. Moving back to the side. Looking for those tips to almost step out. So I'm waiting for this eye. He's kind of like avoiding me at this point. There. Oh, I'm going to keep him back this way. Let's come back to the spot. Good. Looking for these hips. Step that way. Keeping his eyes on me. Good. Good boy. Step this way. Put him right back. Good recovery. I want to go to my friends first. Get back into the spot.
I'm gonna turn my chair. Fair warning. Wiggling.
So he kept his eyes on me that way. Now we're gonna start moving. Good. And even though he's sort of trying to sneak this way, he's having to take some steps towards me. So I'm gonna give it to him that time. Because it wasn't like super reactive steps. He was just like slowly creeping this way. So now I'm gonna kind of angle this way. Because I know he wants to come to this corner. So I'm gonna be walking this way. And I'm gonna look for these back hips to kind of step out while he keeps his head over here. And he's like, no, I can't. So push it back. And we might change it up a little bit. Sometimes I like just gonna move it around a bit. Change things up. Now I'm gonna have him stand. Boy. He's like, oh, God. Coming back this way. Yeah. Good job. There. Emergency. Put this approach to retreat. Yes. So that one step towards me was really nice. Good. For any time that he wants to start coming in a little bit, we're going to encourage that by stepping back, releasing that pressure. Oh boy. Well done. And we got a little half step towards again. Really good. really nice. He's starting to think, starting to take steps in. So I want anytime that he's like moving around, I'm gonna apply some pressure, really kind of keep with him, make him move around. And then anytime that he starts walking towards me in a nice, respectful manner, I'm gonna back up. So I'm gonna keep the pressure on. Good. Keep coming. Keeping the pressure on. Good. Good. Yes. Good. Good. Well done. Good. And so anytime he was coming towards me, I backed up. But now he wants to come back over here. So now I'm going to keep walking with him. So basically, I'm going to irritate him until he starts walking towards me a little bit. I'm like, hey, you can't leave. I want him to know that anytime I stop coming towards him is when he starts inching towards me. Good. Well done. You can see he's starting to figure it out really quick here. He's like, okay, walk towards the scary person. And she backs up. And that's kind of what I want to install from the very beginning is like, if you're scared of something, go check it out. Go look at it. Don't run away from it. Like, let's go check it out. It might be fun. And that'll go play into your trailer loading, obstacle training, all that kind of stuff. If I can make his reaction to scary new things, going to go check it out and look at it, it's going to help him later on down the road with everything he encounters. Good. Good boy. Yes. So that's what I've been looking for, keeping his face on me and moving those hips kind of away. That was really good. And he's like getting so fed up with his lead rope. So as soon as I can, I like to get these lead ropes off when I can successfully come up to them, pet them, and take it off so then they're not stepping on it. I do really appreciate these lead ropes for these first couple training sessions. I get them put on all my horses whenever I have the opportunity to, or all my Mustangs, because it does help with the training process, but it can be a bit of a nuisance to them at beginning stages. Good. So I like this. He's kind of like chilling out. He's like just walking off instead of running off. And then he's coming in, taking several steps, and starting to create that draw, right? So he walked away there. I'm applying the pressure. I'm gonna come in, back up. Good. I didn't get a good draw, so I'm gonna kind of come back in there. And just that little bit of pressure, he's like, hey, I'm coming in. And good. So we're gonna keep encouraging this. He's like, what is she asking of me? Good. So keeping the pressure on here, backing up when he's looking, seeing if he won't walk into me. Good boy. Okay, he's losing interest. I'm gonna walk up, use that voice, create that draw in. Good boy. He didn't step towards me, so I'm gonna apply the pressure again, and then he starts walking in. So now, he just turning in isn't good enough. He needs to start making some deliberate steps closer. Good. So you can see now he is making the bubble smaller. Boy, he's doing a lot of processing here. Good. Well done. Good. He's like, I'm stuck on my lead rope, guys. And that's okay. So when this kind of happens, I'm just going to let him like chill for a moment. He's teaching himself how to give to pressure. It's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And so like, this is just great learning opportunities for him to start learning how to give to that lead rope. No big deal. These Mustangs are really hardy. Oh boy. And so this is what I'm looking for. Just start walking in. So again, lost some interest there. Yes, the lead rope kind of distracted him. But anytime that he loses interest in me, I'm going to start walking towards him, applying that pressure. Boy. Good boy. There. Oh boy. So again, he's like, oh, you're getting a little close there, Sierra. Alright. Start putting that spot. There. Yeah. Good. And I'm really like, he's making very deliberate decisions to start coming in. Good. And you can see, as he gets closer, he's not quite sure. He thinks I'm a pretty weird creature. And you have to, like, all of the interaction these horses have had with humans is they were out on the Oregon ranges. They were rounded up, brought in, gelded, put into chutes, given their vaccines, completely wild. In a chute, they got their halter put on, and then they ran into a trailer and ended up here. So far they haven't had like the best experience with us. We just kind of poke and prod on them. So this is completely new to him. So we're just started showing him that, hey, I'm kind of fun. Not so bad. Good. Oh boy. Well done. Good. You can see now his bubbles come down to probably about 7 feet or so. And so we're slowly getting him more and more interested about coming in closer. Good. Good boy. So now I kind of like to add in a little bit of that approach and retreat here. So one of two things are going to happen is when I apply this pressure, he's either going to take a step towards me, just like that, and I'm going to take the pressure away by backing that. The other thing that could happen is when I start applying more pressure. Hold on. You always have to keep an eye on him. Sometimes these older geldings get a little too excited about coming in.
You want to talk about aggressive?
What? Aggressive, yeah. So we have had some, especially these older geldings, that are a little bit more reactive like him, is once they get to a certain point, they sometimes will have an attitude change, and they're like, maybe I should kill the cougar. And so I'm just always going to be kind of keeping an eye on him until after I pushed his buttons, and I want to see like what his reaction is. I think this horse is super sweet, but he is older, and he's got a little bit more of a reactive personality than some of the others. Like that one doesn't give me an at all aggressive vibe. This one sometimes feels like he's sizing me up in a very mild way, but with these horses, I never count it out because they are wild and they're just doing what their instincts tell them. Oh yes, so like we've had some aggressive ones, and in those, you start teaching them to halt, and if I take a step towards you, back up. So like that one, you did a really good job. So mixing that in with your more aggressive ones, I'm teaching you how to respect your space is important. And you can see he's getting fed up with me. He's like, why are you still asking me to do things? Good. Okay, I'm gonna apply pressure here. Look for him to turn in. Good. Really good boy. Good. Good. You see, he really kind of wants to come up, but it's not necessarily in a calm way. It's sort of like he knows he has to walk towards me to get the pressure taken off. So I'm just kind of like keeping my eye on him. And I want him to do it in a very nice sort of way. So like right there, I don't really like the pawing. He's sort of like, hey, back off, Sierra. So I'm like, hey, no, you back off, dude. Because you have to always remember, these are 1,000-pound horses, and they are still wild. And it's not that they're mean or anything like that. They're just wild. And that's works in the wild. So put him back in his spot. And I might even move him around. Let him take a quick break. Let him run off some of this excess pent-up nervous energy for a second here. Let him keep moving. I like how he's moving around a lot more nicely. And back in his spot. I'm going to back up. Good boy. Really good. And then we're going to start approaching. So he's starting to get to the point now where with him, I might want my first touch to not actually be my hand. I might prefer it to be my stick here. And so what I like to start doing is when we get to this point when he's turning in nice, it's got decent draw in, but he still kind of has that like defensive kind of look to him. I like to do first touches with the end of my stick here. So this is just your typical lunge whip. It's about 6 feet tall or so, a little bit shorter than that. And so what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to use it as an extension of my hand here. And so I'm going to go ahead and start bringing it out, doing the approach and retreat, and bringing it back. And so this allows me, good, and I want him to come up and look, he can touch it, kind of, you can use it as a target. So I'm going to bring it out here. And the minute that he kind of stretches his nose out to it or turns and looks at it, we're going to take the pressure off. Move him back over to his spot. Good. And we're going to reach down. Look for him to turn and look. See, he's paying attention to like the dog over there. So I want him to kind of take a step towards it. I'm going to keep it with him. There. So one little step. And like I said, we're just rewarding the little bits and pieces right now. Just the thought is what we're rewarding. It doesn't have to be a big action. It just has to be like, he's like, okay, now I'm focusing on it. He might just took a little step towards it there. Here, just like that. Also, my back, I'm not backing up here across the round pin anymore. I'm just taking like a little step back. So applying the pressure. Keeping them on this side of the round pin. Reaching this out. With them there. And now for his release, I'm just going to be bringing my energy down. He wants me to keep backing up, and I'm like, no. We're now to the point in his training where just me simply bringing my energy down, releasing the stick is all the release he needs. I want him to start thinking about looking at this stick. Good. And again, we're slowly bringing this bubble that he has around himself smaller and smaller. Good boy. So bringing it up. Letting him get a little sniff. Good. Good. Really good. You see, he kind of like he wants to come up and then he angles that hip towards me a little bit. He doesn't quite know if he likes me or not. Good. So I'm coming back over this way. I'm just sticking with him. The only release is if he looks at my little stick here. So again, he's like avoiding the situation. Not paying attention to me. And I'm giving him the option. Anytime that he kind of settles down and wants to come up to the stick, I'll stop bothering him. Wait. He's like, I'm going to go hang out with my buddies. I'm just going to stay with him. Keep the pressure on. Just stick with him. There. Whoop. So I'm just kind of matching his steps here. He's like, what are you doing? I can use my voice to encourage him. There. There. So, he kind of looked at it, then reacted from it, but that's okay. He sort of got the idea. So then we're going to come back. Yep, I'm just going to stick with him. Good boy. Just stick with him. Good. But again, he's not focusing on me. He's focusing on things happening outside. So like for him, he turned in, he looked, he kind of kept his eyes on me. You can kind of see he was really wanting to focus outside the arena. He's kind of checking out. He's not paying attention to me as much. There. But you can see he's kind of always looking for that escape route. He's like, I'm going to walk up to Sierra just so I can like leave. So we're going to come back. focus on me, so then we're going to let him move around. He's kind of gotten to that point where he sort of checked out. And so we're going to figure out how to move around. Because right now he's like, I would much rather do some crazy spins. That kind of thing. So just letting him get that energy out. Back up. Beautiful turn in. Good boy. Then we're going to reach this stick back out. Good. We're going to give him one more shot. Okay, we're going to have him move around. So now we're going to change it and have him move this way. These ones are super funny. You're just going to channel this butt right there. I know, that one's like not at all reactive.
Okay, I want to come out.
So this one session's going to be like 2 hours and that one will be 5 minutes.
Or we'll just like, how to put your first ride on your boat.
Right, we'll do first ride on that one. Okay, we're moving this one back and forth. He really kind of wants to get stuck here. So that's reverse direction. And this is like, okay, he kind of was no longer wanting to play our like nice chill game of pet the stick or touch the stick. And so now he has to kind of move around. He's gonna be like, he's like now almost to the point where he wants to turn in and chill. Back. It'll turn in. Good boy. He really just wants to come to his friends. Well done. We're gonna stick with him. Good. Big reward here. He looked in, kind of settled. Good boy. We're gonna stick with him. Changing his spot up a little bit. We're going to start giving him something new to do. Because he's kind of like hit that point where he's like kind of done playing this game. So we're going to change up the game a little bit. He's one that needs to move around a bit more. But keep him coming. Lots of reverse the direction. This is a new section of the arena. Alright, so that's turning. Moving back, because I'm now looking to have him turn it over here. kind of bothering him here. Good. Right there is where I want him to turn it. So right here, he's kind of at the 3/4, but he's standing still. Then we're going to give it to him. That's fine. Then he kind of wants to come back to the front here. He's walking. There. Yes. That's how we use it. Good. That's fine. That's fine. Good. So just look for that turn and face. Well done. Try to keep moving. Bring him back over. He's catty. So just right there, that turn and face. Trying to keep his mind somewhat focused on me. Good. And there we go. Now we're starting to think about coming back in. Good. Backing up. Good. 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 There we go. Yeah. He kind of wants to go hang out with his friends. Now, right now, I'm just trying to bring it back down. Just to remind him to kind of look in. So I'm going to stay with him. Good. Good job. Good job. Pressure off. Reminding him that when he looks at me, he gets the pressure taken off. Good boy. Can't take a step towards. Good job. Forward. Keep closer. Good. He turned in. Got some good looking shoes there. Turn back closer. There. And I just want him to kind of focus on this. Good. And there he sits still. From the back up.
Let me take over for a little bit.
Okay. Good. Now I'm going to start coming up closer again. Good. Well done. So that time the whip was like 2 feet from him. So we're just going to slowly keep bringing it in. Good. Right there. I will take the head nod. Oh, good boy. For right now. I'm just looking for him to acknowledge the stick without leaving. It's okay if he tells us some attitude. You can see this horse has a lot of personality because of all that mane. He's like, oh my, I'm gorgeous, and I know it. So I'm going to keep the pressure on. There he goes. He kind of like threw his nose at it. That's what we're looking for. I want him to think about touching the stick. Some of them will end up biting it playfully. Others aggressively, depends. But just like slowly bringing it up, looking for him to start to reach out and smell it, and that's what I was looking for. That was a really nice, he was curious about it. He reached out, smelled it without reacting, and so I'm going to give him a really big release there. So that means I'm walking away, letting him focus on that for a second. He kind of went through a stage where he didn't want anything to do with me. He was just kind of wanting to hang out with his friends. And now he's back into like a thinking mindset where he's like, okay, what is she asking of me? Well, like how can we work together a little bit more? He just had to get a little sweaty first. And sometimes sweaty is good, buddy. Helps clear the brain. Okay, I'm just gonna come back. Holding this out. I want him to sniff it. Think of this sort of like your target training. So you're looking for him to come check it out. So it's like about a foot away from him. I like that he's kind of licking the tune while we're getting closer. So right here, he's kind of thinking about leaving. I'm going to leave the pressure on. He came back, so I put it down. Now he didn't reach out towards it, so I'm not going to take a step back. I'm simply just like bringing my energy back, bringing the stick down, and telling him good boy that way. And he's really quick to lick him too. Being like, okay, I got it. These South Steam horses are super smart. So again, reaching it out. Good. And right there. Reached out, did some good dragon snorts at it, and so we're going back up. Good boy. And then now that he's kind of looking off, I'm going to come back up, and he's like, oh, here she comes again. Lots of personality. So holding the pressure here, looking for him. Now he has to reach out and sniff it. Good. And now I'm going to take it away. So I really like building curiosity from this very beginning stages. So like he's curious about the stick, and so I'm going to tell him that that was the correct answer by taking it away. So I want him to be curious, not scared of the stick, not mad at the stick. You can see some of them are like super mad at it, poking at him. I want him to just like very nicely, very curiously, come check out my stick. Good, we're gonna look for him to sniff it. Good boy. I like this one. He makes sound effects when he sniffs it. He's like, I'm gonna blow things at it. Yes. Such a gelding. Good. So keeping it. Right now he's kind of like thinking about squirming away, so I'm just gonna stay nice and chill. Keep it there, and then he sniffs it. I'm gonna back away. Another reason I like to use this stick is because eventually, with some of the more reactive ones, we'll start learning how to give the pressure earlier on. And so I can kind of fish that lead rope closer to me, where I might be able to actually get another lead rope clipped onto it and start using it. So the sooner that they're okay with the whip being around their face, the better. So I can get a lot more accomplished that way. Good. So just gonna keep coming up. And eventually, so he wants to leave. So I'm going to keep it with him. Looking for that sniff. Good. And now we're going to take it away. Good boy. So with a horse like this, you kind of have to really be on it. Because he's not one that once he understands something, he settles down. He hits that point where he's like, okay, I want to kind of leave the situation. He just doesn't like accept the stick coming closer. He's like, okay, now I want to go move around and go hang out with my buddies. Some of them are super lazy or energy conservers, and they will do whatever possible to just like hang out in their corner and not move. And others are like him, where they like to move around a bit. Good. Really good boy. Good boy. Coming up. Good. So something I'm keeping an eye on is he's kind of angling his hips. He's going to run that way when he escapes. So what I'm going to do is I want him to be a little bit more square. So I'm going to come over to his hips here. Might have him move forward a bit, and then have that turn in. So I'm kind of like, I'm telling him where I want his feet. I want him looking to the inside of the round pen. I don't want him angling his hips. I want him looking nice and squarely at me. Good. Really good. And so I'm looking to start controlling those feet. Even though I don't yet have control of that lead rope, I can still tell him where I want him to be and where I want it to be. Good. So I'm starting to bring my stick up higher. So I'm starting to touch him more on the side of his face, on the side of his nose there. And so I'm coming to this left side here, or right side, my left. Good. And I'm keeping the pressure on, keeping it on. And he has to come over and touch it, and then I'll leave. Just like that. Good boy. Really good. So he really wanted to leave there, but he came back, gave it a good sniff, so I backed up. Told him that was really good. So then we're going to come back. We're going to start going higher up his face here. Good. Good. And so like there, I started rubbing his nose with the stick. And that's kind of like the same thing my hand's going to do. So when I go up there to pat him with my hand for the first time, typically we don't just stick our hand flat up against him. We actually move it up and down, right, when we're petting him. And And so I like to do the same thing with my stick. So as much as I can replicate with this plastic piece, which he can bite, he can kick, it's not going to hurt it, as opposed to my hand, which I sort of like. We're going to start trying to simulate that from a distance here. Good. So I'm going to start rubbing it. You can see I'm going up across his cheek here, kind of on his nose band there, just getting it used to moving around. And he is really good at that. So big release, backing up, taking this pressure off. Ooh, good boy. And you can kind of see I have my hand on the back corner of this stick. And so as he starts getting more comfortable with this, I'm going to start slowly bringing the whip smaller and smaller. So eventually my hand will be at the very end of this whip, and I'll be right up there next to it. Oh boy. I really like, he came in a couple steps. So we're going to slowly keep making this smaller and smaller. Good. And making this bubble less and less. So he's kind of moving around here. Good. Then he made the right choice. He came up closer to it. Good. All right, we're going to stick with him here a little bit. I want him to start to stay with it for longer periods of time. Good. So coming up here. And so I will take the pressure off and he lets me pet him with the stick. Oh, and he's like, no, she can't pet me with that stick. Good, so just putting him right back. Good, he's very expressive. You know exactly what he's thinking. Good, so coming back up. He has to touch the stick. I'm keeping the pressure on until he touches it. There. Now we're gonna walk away. Good boy. So, really just anytime he's not doing what we want, keeping the pressure on. Anytime he's doing the desired response, which is letting me mess around with his face with this stick here, then I'll take the pressure off. And we're slowly making the time that he's okay with me being near him longer and longer. At first, it's going to be just a couple seconds. We're going to eventually get his attention span where I can be closer to him for a little bit longer. So like right here, he's like, oh my goodness, she won't leave. He's rubbing here on his nose, my hand, my arm is moving. Super weird. He stayed put, so I'm going to walk away. Again, he's kind of getting flat up against this panel here. I'm just going to have him move those hips away, turn back in. He repositioned himself so nicely here, and we're back in a good spot where his hips are pointed towards the corral panels, and he's facing me and not hiding with his friend. Good. So again, we're coming up. Good. Good. I'm going to keep this stick on. So good, he's trying so hard. We're going to see, is he going to come and touch it? Yes, not reactive. Really good boy. So good. You're going to come up again. Oh. There, so good. So we're going to walk away. Good boy. And you can see we're slowly making this whip a little bit smaller. Boy. So that's forcing us to get closer together. Boy, so rub, rub. And that was so nice, so we're going to walk away. Boy. Big lick and chew there. He's like, what's going on there? So again, you can see our whip's getting smaller and smaller. I'm having to get closer to him. Rub, rub, walk away. As you can see, I'm now probably to the halfway point on this whip. We're going to make it just a little bit smaller. Come back up. Oh boy. I know. Even just the smallest change can be hard for these guys. Good. So then we're going to walk away. Really good. I also have gotten to the point now where I'm doing a little bit more walking, approaching him and then walking away. This is going to help too later on. With a lot of times, sometimes getting that close to these horses, to halter them, to mess with them can be the hardest part. So we're practicing a lot of being like, okay, you stand there. And I like how he's starting to follow me. Just like building that curiosity in it. You're also getting used to me approaching. The things moving. Good. He's kind of walking away there. We're just staying kind of with him. Staying with him. Whoop. Bring him back. I'm going to keep this stick here. Good. Yes. Good pitch. Now move his hips again. Oh, so good. It's like I got that one, Sierra. Good. Now we're coming up more towards this side. He's changing eyes here. Going up towards his forehead. Very good. Super. So now we're slowly making the area on his face that he's okay with being touched bigger and bigger as I'm getting closer and closer to him. See, a very good boy. Good. Good. Really good. So Jan, you can see he's not comfortable here, so I'm just staying really steady, but I'm not taking the pressure off. I'm keeping this pressure on until he comes over and he touches my little stick. And it's kind of weird because I'm getting closer and closer to him, so I'm holding it out, giving him the opportunity to. Very good. Push his hips back, put him back in his spot. And he might need to go for a little trot here again. And this is like kind of part of it. It's like they start timing out a little bit, and so that's when you have to know when to like send them around, get them moving again when they start getting a little bit fed up with an exercise. Good. Good boy. Really good. Yes, I know. So fed up. So fed up. Keep the pressure on. We're gonna look for one more, and then I'll probably have him go trot. It's starting to get a little fidgety. Good. Good boy. All right, we'll back up. Chill for a second. Then I'm just gonna go and have him move around. Sometimes it's good for them just like as part of their break, just move around. And I'm not like making them do a bunch of reverses directions. I'm just doing like, hey, it's kind of like people. We like to go for a walk, process things. Horses like to go for little trots. So I'm just gonna have them kind of move around for a second. I'm sorry about that leader cat, buddy. Good boy. Never gonna start reapproaching again. Good. So I'm kind of going for his forehead. This is one of my favorite spots to kind of get that first touch. Is on their cheek or forehead, or their neck or shoulder for the super reactive ones about their face. I think for this guy, it's probably our first touch will be on his face or forehead. He doesn't seem to be super flinchy around his face. Some of the Mustangs don't like being touched on their face at first. Most of them are totally fine. I've had a couple that were a little bit reactive to it. And so those are like my safe areas. But I do always make sure that I'm paying attention to where I'm at. So I'm ready. If you see I'm kind of standing not directly facing him, because I want to be off to the side a little bit if he had a change of attitude. Kind of approaching here. And a horse's blind spot is directly in front of them. So I try to stay off to one side as much as I can. Come kind of back here. Good. Good boy. Good. Well done. So rubbing on that forehead with this stick. Getting him used to me being here. Oh boy. And then I'm going to see if he won't give me a good lick and chew while I'm this close to him. I like to get to the point where I can just release from this distance. So I can keep coming closer and closer. Oh boy. Yeah. Kind of wants to leave here. I'm going to kind of put him back over here to where I want him. Good. Put him back close to the stick. Oh. Pressure. Pressure. Looking for that touch on the stick. Good. Well done. So good. So good. He's like, oh my. We'll have to process. Oh boy. Again, just messing with him there. Oh boy. Put those hips back a little bit. Good job. There we go, boy. Oh my goodness. So much to say. Let's see. He's doing like really big eye rolls here, big lick and chew. He's thinking something here. Very smart horse. Boy. We're gonna let him process for a second. Lots of new things going through his brain. Yes. Oh boy. Keep the pressure on. Keep those hips move. We're getting to the point where you probably need to move around again. It doesn't keep going on, it kind of lets him stay up still, so we're going to have him move. Keep him coming. Well, look, if he doesn't want to focus, he can move around. Keep doing his thing. Good. So cool. Have him stand here. So for his rest, after having to move around, we're just going to keep hitting on his feet. Good boy. Hitting on his feet. You see I kind of moved to the side there. And he isn't quite excited about the stick coming over there. Moving back and forth. So his rest is when the sticks touch him now. So if he doesn't want the sticks to touch him, then he kind of has to move his feet. He has to go do something. But then he can have a break when I'm hitting on him here with him. Yeah, you can see just the subtle moves with this guy sends him kind of flighty. So we're going to start working on coming up along that side of his face. Now it's really good. You let me kind of creep onto the other side. Start letting me see the stick on this eye. Moving back. Boy. With him. Good. So I'm targeting the left side of his body right now. Good. And that time he kind of even looked at it from the back up. Just little bits, little pieces. Good. Good. Have him move back. Good boy. Put him back in his spot. And he has to move. He's like, please just let me stand. Good. But only if there's a touch. Good. There. Well done. Whew. Oh boy. Left side of his face. Good boy. There. So I'm eventually start working down his neck, working down that shoulder, getting him really comfortable with this stick. Good. He's one, super athletic, really catty, and so I don't want to get up too close to him until he's a little bit more comfortable with things moving around.
Rolling.
So we took a little break. Last time we saw, I was just able to get a little bit of touching with the lead rope, not the lead rope, my lunge whip. So what we're going to do is kind of come back here. And he's now to the point where I can get up close enough to him that I'm hoping, but so like right here, I would like him to move around. But even though he's being a super good boy, looking at me, I also want to make sure I do have control of his forward motion and that I can't actually get him to move his feet. So I want him to keep moving. And so we're just going to get him to the point where he can crawl around this ground pen. But once he's doing that, my goal is going to be to clip this long lunge line to his drag line. Good boy. So that we can kind of start working on giving to the pressure of the lead rope, and that's hopefully going to give me a little bit more control of his face, so we can get a little bit more touchy. So I'm just going to keep him trotting around. He's like, why is there a horse with a rider behind me? That is strange. So let's go turn in. Good boy. So I'm just going to come back up. Good. Rub on his forehead a little bit. Good. Well done. He's kind of focused on the rider there. Take it away. He seems to be coming back pretty nice. There's that reactive pony. Have him move around. I'm having to do a full circle this way. So he bolted off that one direction, and so I just had him reverse. So it's sort of my idea which direction he has to move. Because ultimately, I'm looking to kind of get control of his feet. Tell him which direction I want him to go, because I don't want him just bolting around here all wild. So he's kind of stepped on it, sometimes have to move his hips over. See if I can get that kind of foot out from under there. I'm going to get him to turn back in. Okay, I got to get all of his feet off his lead rope. That's going to move his hips a bit. Move your hips. You have to reach out and touch his tongue. Good, kind of moving back around. Also, I turn in. I want to kind of come this way. Good. All right. So now he's not stepping on his lead rope, which is the first part of it. So I'm just going to start coming up. I'm going to just start like rubbing on that forehead again, like you used to. And then what I kind of like to do is I just start working it down. So sometimes, depends on the horse, but usually start.
Can you step to the side?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to start grabbing the drag line here with the end of my stick. And since I taught him how to turn in and stand, he's just going to look at me. Then I have to tie a quick little knot here in the end of this lead rope, so that I can clip on my lunge line to it. And so this is just going to give me a little bit more length to work with. This lunge line, he can move around and I can still have the end of it. It's nice and long. I just kind of like to leave it on the ground there. And so now this gives me the ability to kind of start teaching him how to give to the pressure of the halter, start working on leading. And it can also help as I get in closer to him, be able to have a little bit of control of that back end. So if he tries to swing his hips towards me, I can hopefully use my weight and pull his head back towards me, which will force those hips away. So kind of as a little safety feature there, which is one of the main reasons I actually asked for the halter and drag line to be put on my Mustang. And so he just has it on here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of have to make sure that you manage your rope bulk, okay? Don't get tangled up in it. We're just going to kind of use it nice and lightly. So right now I'm not putting any pressure on it. I'm just going to work on what I was working on. So like right here, this just gives me that ability to kind of turn his head back in. And he did that really nice. Some of them will like freak out the first time that they feel that pressure. Luckily, since he's been stepping kind of on his own drag line for the past little bit, he already knows that when he steps on it, he has to give to it. So they're kind of teaching themselves how to give to that pressure at the beginning. And so now I'm just going to start keep using this lightly. So right now, as he's not moving, there's no pressure on the lead. Then I'm gonna start moving down towards his neck and shoulder. Oh boy. And it just kind of blocked that escape route. So now it's not quite as easy for him to leave. So we're working towards that shoulder, pick it up. And you can see it really is gonna help keep him from being able to leave. So anytime he tries to leave, I pick up on the lead rope. He's doing so well. Don't be surprised if they blow around or something the first time they feel that pressure. He's being very, very nice about it. He's a bit tired now. So now we're gonna start coming onto this side. So I'm gonna start slowly moving to the right side of his body here. Horses, you have to do things on both sides because their brain doesn't quite connect. And so even though he's seen the whip on the left side, the right is like it's brand new again. So you can see he's a bit flinchier still. And he did a really good job. So I just go nice and slow. Bring it, I don't just leave it on him, I rub it and then I take it away before he can leave. So again, we're approaching and retreating. So I'm approaching, rubbing, bringing it back down. Once he's comfortable with that, also I'm being aware of where my rope is. I don't want it to be tangled around my legs, tangled around my fingers. Last thing you want to do is lose a limb. Good. So, and then I'm going to start slowly working down towards his neck here. So now we're kind of touching his mane there, working towards his shoulder. And notice I'm first going to an area that he's familiar with. So that's going to be his face and his cheek. And then from there, I'm working my way down. So I'm not just going straight for his shoulder. I'm going to slowly increase the area that he's comfortable in. So coming down his neck, coming down his shoulder. Oh boy. Good. Now we're going to come back to the left side. Good. Starting at his cheek. Good. Coming down his neck. Down to his shoulder. Doing really well with this. Oh boy. And again, we're going to go back to making that whip just a bit smaller. So here I want my hand to start getting up a little bit closer. Notice I'm trying to stay off to the side. So if he decides to lurch forward, I'm out of his path. And I'm just going to slowly start coming up. You can see now my finger's about like just an inch from his nose. He reached out and sniffed it. Kind of got freaked out. I smell sort of weird. It's like, that's weird. So I'm going to back up and then I'm going to come again. And everything again really slow. You can see I'm now holding the handle of my whip. And I'm going to come up to his forehead here. He's going to smell my fingers. And I'm going to step away. So we're just slowly getting him used to the smell of me. So like right here, he's kind of bracy, right? I'd like for him to kind of just take one step towards me because he's kind of slinking back. So I'm going to hold the pressure. The minute he took a step there, I loosened my lead rope. Really good boy. Just kind of repositioning him into where I want him to be. Good. So right here, it's coming right on up. And then that was my first little touch on his nose with my hand. And so we're going to let him chill. That was super. And a good looking shoe there. And that's sort of how I like my first touches to go, even with these more reactive ones. He was chill. He wasn't feeling like overly tense or reactive or aggressive. It was just like, okay, see, she's been touching me with this stick for a really long time now. Her hand's not that much of a big deal. He's facing in. There's really no way for him to kick me unless he got really athletic. It could happen, but I'm setting myself in a pretty good spot where it's going to be pretty hard for me to get kicked. Now, I have had some that will strike, so that's why I'm coming off to the side. He has not shown me any of that kind of aggressive behavior thus far, so I'm feeling pretty confident that he's not going to have a moment. Even when I've pushed his buttons with this stick here, he's always been really respectful of it. Wasn't freaking out. He hasn't even kicked out his drag rope, even though it was wrapped around his legs and such. So I'm hoping that he's pretty sane about keeping his feet on the floor. And then right there, really good touches on his nose with my hand. So I'm going to back up and tell him that was so good. And just something to note, we're about an hour into this session. Now, some Mustangs I'm touching within the first couple of minutes. Like that one, we haven't even worked with, and he's already like letting us touch him through the panels. That's very rare, but I've had some of them that were just born domestic. And then others like him, we've been working pretty hard for like over an hour. So it's okay if you don't touch them within the first 30 minutes, you will get to that point. Some just require a little bit more time. And that's okay. Sometimes the hardest ones to gentle are the easiest ones to get some of the more refined riding later on down the road because they're so sensitive and athletic. So don't take it as a bad thing, just take it as something that you're going to work through and know that they have great potential. Good boy. So again, just starting to come up. I'm going to start coming up a little bit more to his forehead here, touching good pets with my hand. Really good boy. So now that he's comfortable with that, I'm going to see if he'll just let me touch him with my hand without the stick. Good little sniff. Take it away. Good. Little pet. Good boy. We're going to kind of come up here towards his forehead a little bit. Good. Good scratches right there. We're going to take it away. Good. You can see he's like sort of still processing all this. He's like really curious about that rider behind us. So we're just going to give him a moment. That was really nice. I'm going to swap hands here so I'm a little bit set. I'm coming off to the side of him. Good. Going to bring that hand out. Move it around. Good boy. You can kind of see he's slinking back a little bit. So I just take things really slow. Got a good lick and chew there. Coming back up to here. Good firm pet. Back up. Good. I do like really try and keep my energy down. My heart beats slow. Sometimes getting those first touches, we can get really tense and we're like equally scared as the horse when we're reaching out to pet him. And so just to really like being really calm, really being like the steady rock, not getting flustered, trying to keep all your movements very slow and not rushy, not like super fast, like kind of like you're attacking your horse and then jumping back and things like that. Just keeping everything really slow, really chill, nice and easy. Good. Talking to him while you're doing it, getting nice, firm pets. One thing I have noticed Mustangs hate is like, we call them like glitter fingers or tickly fingers, is where you're like kind of coming like this and you're like freaking them out with your wiggly fingers. Like I like to do, keep all my fingers together, reach forward. Good boy. Stay nice and chill, firm pet. Whoops. And so like right there I didn't have it on my lead. So we're just gonna pick it back up. This is totally fine. I'm just gonna bring him right back to the spot. We're gonna see, does he need to go move? Has he hit his timer? You kind of have to be careful of these guys. Good. Coming back. Good. Good touch on the nose. Now we're going to go for that forehead. If he gives me his forehead, I'm going to give him a little break. Have him move his feet. Good. We're going to back up. Really good boy. Sometimes with these horses, they'll be doing really well. Then they kind of get like to that point where they're like, okay, I'm done. And so you just have to be like, find a really good place to pause. Give them a little break before we overwhelm them or get them too claustrophobic. Maybe have them move their feet around and then go back to doing it again. So kind of reading your horse. For him, it's really good practice to move around now. Good boy. Good. Just have him move around. Go for that little walk. Oops. And so then this gives us, I can just flip this back over if we need it. He's like, oh my goodness, yeah. So we can move him back this way. I'm going to have him return to that same circle. Good. Yeah, so a little bit pick up on that leader up there. I want to keep moving. Good. Keep kind of working on that, staying on that circle here. Good boy. He's also scary. Good. I'm going to pick up on my lead rope. Give that little bit of turn in. I'm using this corner, so he's got two little stopping corners. He's got this corner over there, that corner over there. So I'm going to start introducing when I picked up on the lead rope, stop in those corners. So it's not like shocking when I pick up on the lead rope. He already is kind of thinking of stopping there. But now I'm just adding a little cue to it with my lead rope. Good boy. Little pet. Change my whip hand. He's like, oh my gosh, not your hand again. I know, I have a freaky hand.
It's because you did glitter fingers.
I know, I freaked him out with my glitter fingers. Good. Good. He smelled me. Really and shoo here. And anytime they give me that look and shoo, I just pause. I tell them, good job processing. Good. Good. Encourage any good thoughts. Any good thoughts. Good. And we're going to get some pets in the head. Oh boy. Good. Well done. That was really nice. So we're going to back. Then we're going to send them for a little walk. Good. Good. So there's two things we're really going to start working on with this horse. It's moving where I tell him to. And that can be at the walk, the trot, eventually the lope. And then stopping and standing where I want him to. So I'm kind of like telling him which direction I want him to go, where I want him to stop. Just starting to build that communication with him. So he turned in there, but I wasn't quite ready for it. Wanted to come along one more time. Good. And so I'm going to tell him when he can have his break. So I'm going to pick up here, turn it all the way in. Good boy. Then his brakes are going to be with me hanging out pretty close to him. Oh, you can see how he feels about that. Like, oh my gosh, they're so irritating. Yes. Again, staying off to the side. Dragon snort. Oh, big stallion neck roll. Oh my gosh. All the mane. Good. Lots of processing. Lots of processing. Yeah. Good. Really good boy. Good. Really good. Good. And so for him, I might go ahead and we might end our session right here for now at this point when he's really paying attention to me. We made huge progress from the beginning. He's letting me come up and pet him, getting used to this rope, the whip touching his shoulder and neck on both sides, giving to that pressure. Probably what I'll do is I'll put him up. I'll let my sister work her Mustang, and then we'll pull him back out a little bit later after he's had time to process all this, and we'll do another session with him.